The Chechnya Wars remain one of the most controversial and least openly discussed conflicts in modern Russian history, often described by analysts as a silent war, hidden behind layers of political control and limited media access. From the brutal fighting in Grozny to widespread accusations of human rights violations, the conflict raised serious questions about military tactics, civilian impact, and international accountability. But what really happened in Chechnya, and why is it still such a sensitive topic today? In this video, we explore the history, allegations, and lasting consequences of Russia's wars in Chechnya. Today, we will talk about Chechnya War, Russia's silent war crimes. So before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. Introduction. Understanding the Chechnya conflict. The Chechen Wars refer to two major conflicts between Russia and the Chechen Republic of Korea in the 1990s and early 2000s, following the collapse of the Soviet Union. These wars were rooted in Chechnya's declaration of independence in 1991 and Russia's refusal to accept secession. What began as a political struggle quickly escalated into one of the most violent and destructive conflicts in post-Soviet history. Cities were destroyed, thousands of civilians were killed, and entire regions were left in ruins. The phrase silent war crimes is often used by critics to describe allegations of human rights abuses, media restrictions, and limited international accountability during the conflict. 2. First Chechen War, 1994-1996. Collapse into full-scale conflict. The First Chechen War began in 1994 when Russian forces entered Chechnya to restore federal control. The capital city, Grozny, became the center of intense urban warfare. Russian military strategy relied heavily on artillery and airstrikes, which caused massive destruction in civilian areas. Chechen separatists, led by figures such as Jokhar Dudayev, used guerrilla tactics to resist Russian forces. The war resulted in heavy casualties on both sides, but civilians suffered the most due to widespread destruction of infrastructure, displacement, and lack of humanitarian access. In 1996, a ceasefire was signed, ending the first phase of the conflict, but leaving Chechnya unstable and heavily damaged. 3. Second Chechen War, 1999-2009. Intensified military campaign. The Second Chechen War began in 1999 after a series of bombings in Russia and incursions into Dagestan by Chechen militants. Russia, now under the leadership of Vladimir Putin, launched a large-scale military campaign to regain full control over Chechnya. This phase of the conflict was significantly more intense, and systematic Russian forces conducted heavy aerial bombardments and ground offensives, once again devastating Grozny and surrounding regions. Unlike the First War, Russia gradually established long-term control over Chechnya, installing a pro-Moscow government led by Akhmat Kadyrov and later his son Ramzan Kadyrov. 4. Allegations of human rights violations and war crimes. Throughout both conflicts, multiple international organizations, including Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, reported serious allegations of human rights violations. These included indiscriminate bombing of civilian areas, forced disappearances, torture, and extrajudicial killings. The destruction of Grozny was described by some observers as one of the most severe urban devastations since World War II. Critics argue that these actions may constitute violations of international humanitarian law, particularly regarding the protection of civilians in conflict zones. However, Russia has consistently denied systematic wrongdoing, framing its actions as anti-terrorism operations. 5. Media control and information restrictions. One reason the Chechen Wars are often described as silent is the limited access granted to independent media during the conflict. Journalists faced restrictions, dangers, and in some cases violence while reporting from the region. This made it difficult for the global public to fully understand the scale of destruction and human suffering. Russian state media emphasized counter-terrorism narratives, while alternative accounts were often difficult to verify due to restricted access. This information gap contributed to ongoing debates about transparency and accountability during the wars. 6. Civilian impact and humanitarian crisis. The civilian population in Chechnya bore the greatest burden of the wars. Hundreds of thousands were displaced, and many cities and villages were destroyed. Basic infrastructure such as hospitals, schools, water systems, and housing was severely damaged. Refugee camps in neighboring regions and countries struggled to accommodate displaced populations. Families were separated, and many civilians went missing during military operations. 7. Rise of pro-Moscow governance and regional control. After the Second Chechen War, Russia established stronger political control over Chechnya through local leadership aligned with Moscow. Ramzan Kadyrov, who became the region's leader, implemented strict security measures and rebuilt parts of Grozny with significant federal funding. While the region became more stable compared to wartime conditions, human rights organizations have continued to report concerns regarding political repression and limited freedom of expression. Supporters argue that stability and reconstruction were achieved, while critics highlight ongoing governance issues. 8. Conclusion. A conflict still surrounded by debate. The Chechen Wars remain one of the most complex and controversial conflicts in modern Russian history. While Russia frames the wars as necessary counter-terrorism operations, critics continue to raise concerns about civilian casualties, destruction, and alleged human rights violations. The term silent war crimes reflects the ongoing debate about accountability, media coverage, and historical interpretation. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up, leave a comment, and click the button to subscribe.